Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Kick it up for it.
Recognizing the presence of Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, and also the Chair of the OIC Board, and definitely a very supportive pillar. We know why we say that. And thank you very much, Your Excellency, for having been there all the time. This convergence will see the adoption of TORs and the budgets after much discussion, disagreeing to agree, I hope, and a comprehensive national budget towards event planning and hosting. On that note, I would also underpin the importance of the presence of the Minister of Finance, and thank you very much for coming, Honorable. I would like to call on Mrs. Binta Jammeh Sidibe, Chairperson of the Local Organizing Committee, to deliver the opening statement. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, who is also the Chair of the Governing Board of the OIC National Organizing Committee, Dr. Fatou Toure. It gives me great pleasure, and I'm really humbled to be here today, to be in my capacity as the Chairperson of the Local Organizing Committee of the OIC Gambia Secretariat, to welcome you all this very important convergence workshop to discuss the terms of reference and budgets for the main Local Organizing Committee, some call it LOC, and its subcommittees. Your Excellency, Ma, since the establishment of the governing board through a legal framework which also established the Gambia OIC Secretariat and the Local Organizing Committee, this has been the first convergence of all members of the LOC and its various subcommittees in active preparation for the Gambia's hosting of the 15th session of the OIC Heads of States Summit in 2022, inshallah. Your Excellency, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you may all be already aware, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, known as OIC, Heads of States and Government Summit, is the second largest gathering of world leaders. The government of the Gambia, under the dynamic leadership of His Excellency, President Adama Barrow, will lead the next summit in Gambia in 2022. In this vein, the local organizing committee, it has 8 subcommittees, just as it was alluded to by the chairman, Mr. C. These subcommittees are supposed to provide unrivaled support to the OIC Gambia Secretariat for the hosting of a successful summit, which will be second to none. This is my favorite jargon. I always say, we will, inshallah, host a summit which will be second to none. The 8 subcommittees, which are the Security Subcommittee, the Accommodation, Events, Logistics, Transport, Documentation, Media, were established to assist in the implementation of projects and to work in close collaboration with the Gambia OIC Secretariat. The LOC, as we are called, is expected to take the lead in the development of the program content and all other relevant and necessary strategies and plan of action. Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me some time to provide this august body with just a short synopsis of each subcommittee as follows. The Security Committee, as we know, we all know the importance of security, especially for such a large gathering and important dignitaries we are expecting, such as kings and presidents and other heads of state. It's headed by Mr. Pa Musa Jobate, and then it represents and advocates for the safety and security interest of the summit, including its delegates, staff, and assets. The Media Subcommittee, chaired by Mr. Lassana Tunkara of QTV, will help promote the summit by mobilizing both national and international media sources to document and provide visibility to the summit and to the OIC in general. The Event Subcommittee, which is led by Mrs. Sosenjai Job, is to formulate and review strategies and guidelines in relation to planning, implementing, and overseeing general maintenance and upkeep of the facilities and general housekeeping. The Protocol Subcommittee, which is chaired by Mr. Alaji Sise, the COP, is to establish the venues, the sites, and areas that would need protocol services, and would also help the delegates to find their way around the conference to enjoy the summit and Gambian hospitality. The Accommodation Committee, led by Mr. Bunamanjai, will be planning and provision and management of all accommodation requirements. The Transport Subcommittee, chaired by Mr. C.D. Kanye, would prepare a needs assessment of the various transportation requirements and management of all transportation services prior and during the summit period. The Logistics Subcommittee, led by Mr. Abduddin, oversees the procurement and distribution of all supplies needed for the proper functioning of the subcommittees. It will also provide backup support to all the subcommittees. Finally, the documentation, and not the list, because it's been led by my able brother here, Mr. Sheikh Tijan Sara. It will provide support for all documentation services in all the 3 languages of the OIC, which is English, French, and Arabic. Your Excellency and Mr. Chair, the selection of the members of the LOC and subcommittees was based on their expertise, their demonstrated contributions towards the socio-economic development of the Gambia, and above all, their willingness to serve their nation as volunteers to respond to a national call for duty. All members have relevant knowledge and experience in the hosting of summits and conferences of this nature. Since my appointment as the chairperson of the LOC last year, we have been engaging in a series of activities which include monthly meetings, updates from the chairpersons of the subcommittees and the CEO, inspection of projects, especially the roads, the hotels, and above all, providing a strong support base for the Gambia OIC Secretariat in the implementation of the various projects and resource mobilization. I would like to thank Your Excellency the Vice President and also to extend my appreciation to the President of honoring my appointment to be the LOC for this committee. I'm really humbled. The appointment of the various subcommittee members have opened new doors and responsibilities for all of us, and whatever we accomplish will put the Gambia on the global map. Mr. Chairman and Your Excellency, I am pleased to inform you that this important gathering that the LOC and the subcommittee members are very committed despite their busy schedule, and we are very appreciative of the sterling efforts of the Gambia OIC Secretariat through our able CEO, Mr. Yankuba Diba, the Deputy CEO, Mr. Esa Bokarsi, and the entire staff who work on tirelessly day and night to ensure that all the coordinating mechanisms are put in place for the successful execution of duties and responsibilities of the LOC. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, I cannot conclude my statement without mentioning the gender dimension of the selection process of the subcommittees. The Gambia is a small country within the OIC, but the Gambia's flag is flying high at the OIC at the international level, which is demonstrated by the following. The Gambia is among 15 countries of the OIC which ratified the OIC Statute of the Women Development Organization. Out of 57 countries, Gambia is among the first 15. The Gambia also represents the Africa Group at the OIC Women's Consultative Council under the OIC Ministerial Conference on Women. Just last week, we were in Egypt with the Minister of Gender, and I was fortunate to be re-elected to serve a term at that international level at the Women's Consultative Council. And we also chair. See, Gambia is a small country, but really, we have been recognized at the level of the OIC at the international level because we also chair the OIC Gender Policy Review Committee. The selection of subcommittee members, therefore, took cognizance of the gender dimension to fall in line with international and regional legal instruments, such as the UN and the AU, within its policy of 30% and 50% female representation in all decision-making bodies. Henceforth, I urge all institutions, MDAs, corporations, and the private sector to take heed of this policy in their selection processes. For us, at the Gambia OIC Secretariat, we have achieved the 30% female representation at the level of the subcommittees. To conclude, I would like to seize this opportunity to commend our consultant, Mr. Dudumbai, for providing a roadmap for the planning and operationalization of the activities leading to the OIC Summit slated for 2022. The overall aims and objectives of this convergence is really to bring all stakeholders together to come up with a roadmap, to produce a budget, and for the host country, that is the Gambia, to assume certain responsibilities. Like the chairman said, I'm glad that we have our Minister of Finance here, because we'll be coming up with a budget which will be used by our subcommittees. Finally, I thank you all for honoring our invitation and for your kind attention. Thank you.
Madam Vice President, Honorable Ministers, Madam Lord Chair, CEO, OIC Secretariat, and my brother here, Esa Bokarsi. We're very happy to have all of you here because I think this is the first time everyone is coming together, including the stakeholders. In planning this convergence workshop, I did mention that I see this as a key milestone in kicking off the way towards the OIC summit, and therefore requires all and sundry to be present to have a full dose of what it takes to have a summit, to organize it, the resources required, and what have you. I think instead of a statement, I'll just be explaining my engagement here and what support I'm trying to provide within a limited time frame. I've been engaged by the OIC Secretariat, and 3 of my deliverables include helping to prepare a draft final budget which will be adopted, if possible, inshallah, and also terms of reference, which the level of preparedness is highly advanced. The other bit, which is the most important and which needs your participation, is the roadmap. It's the framework, and the French call it feuille de route, which we will need to guide each and everyone that has an input towards the hosting of a successful summit in terms of what they are going to do to enable us to have a summit at the defined time and have a seamless and successful summit. And now, my consultancy, as I said, when it started, I was given all the documents that were available in terms of draft, terms of reference, draft budgets, and also the certificate of incorporation to give me an idea of what the OIC is all about, what it is mandated to do, and thereby serving as a guide as I interact with the subcommittees. I must confess, the OIC Secretariat went to work immediately, and I must thank some of the staff there for helping set up all the appointments necessary to undertake the necessary consultations. And I was able to rehash or revamp the terms of reference that were given to me, add a little bit of meat to it, and deliver it within the sessions I had with the subcommittees to either critique or add or delete or ask me to take out of it what they feel is not necessary. The budget as well. As I said earlier when I came to the Secretariat, I need to get the subcommittees to be highly involved in the preparation of the budgets, because ownership counts a lot. We cannot just go shove budgets in the throats of the subcommittees, whereas they are meant to be volunteers with professionals in the respective areas they've been selected to serve in. So I think we were able to have that in the interactive sessions we had with the different subcommittees. To the extent possible, there are different levels of preparedness in terms of the subcommittees with their budgets. The TORs, as I said earlier on, highly advanced. What I need is the Secretariat to tell us when they would start working and when they will stop working. And with that, we will be able to say we have the final TORs. The budgets, they have the organization and technical arrangements, which already, I think, is available to every country hosting the summit, which the Secretariat in Jeddah prepares. But there is some level of specificity in terms of content when it comes to the country hosting the summit. I think it's a useful guide, and it has been a little bit misleading in the sense that it did not allow some of the committees to see what actually they need. As I said, the roles and responsibilities as enshrined in the terms of reference is what the subcommittees were looking at. And that tells them what should we do to enable us attain the activities or get them to come to fruition or reality. And if you are able to define those activities, you will be able to determine the resources you need in terms of financing, manpower, or whatever. And that is what goes into the budget. Now, what we have realized, for your information, I don't want to go into detail because we have sessions for that. We have realized some commonalities. Certain things feature in most of the budgets. Certain things are very unique to the subcommittees themselves by virtue of the unique kind of roles and responsibilities they have. So we will deal with that later on. And I hope when the budgets are flagged, because we did organize half-a-day workshop, as I kindly asked the Madam Lockchair, as I call her, Binta, my elder sister, the budget would be the most sensitive and important part of the convergence. I would rather we have half a day with all the subcommittees, we kind of get them to present and get to criticize this budget, then come up with something that is presented to you, and those who've not seen them, if you have any ideas to share, please do. Then we would have to adopt these budgets, even if with reservations, and work on them. Remember, the budgets are important for two reasons. As already said by the Madam Chair and Issa, the Minister of Finance is here. Part of the budget will be financed by the Gambia government. Part of it will, be subject to some kind of resource mobilization. And we need to package those very well and prepare a resource mobilization strategy, this is Secretariat, to go out there and see what partners could be able to provide to support the summit. Now, without giving you too much of what will be given to you in the other sessions, I would like to say, this to the subcommittee members. The Secretariat needs all of you. We've seen different levels of vibrancy from the different subcommittees, and I would urge those that are not fully operational ready to come on board to ensure that we start working. And to the extent possible, as I said in preparing the roadmap, I would like us to attain all the activities 3 months, in fact, if possible, before the summit. And we have dry runs before the summit to be able to ensure that the degree of failure or degree of lapses in these events will be minimal to the extent possible. With that, I would say thank you for your time, thank you for your attention. Thank you, Issa.
Thank you very much, Ambassador C. Your Excellency, Madam Vice President, Honorable Ministers, my board members, Honorable Minister I will single out Honorable Minister for Women's Affairs because he's an invitee. She's sitting along with my board members, Chairperson of the LOC, Mr. Jane, representing the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Union for Islamic Countries, Mr. Dudumbai, our consultant, distinguished volunteers, of course, headed by the various chairpersons and members, my colleagues, staff. I'm not giving a statement. My task is a very simple one. It's just to acknowledge with thanks and appreciation your honoring our invitation to be here. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, for all of you to have accepted to serve as volunteers on our various committees. You've all been doing a great job over the past 2 years or so. I wish to specifically welcome the new members who are for the first time interacting with us today. Various speakers have already outlined the purpose, the scope of what we are here for today. We are gathered here today, for the first time. I think the consultant said this is a milestone. Individual LOCs and subcommittees have been meeting, monthly and sometimes in emergencies. But this is the first time that we are bringing all of you under one umbrella. The purpose, first and foremost, is to make sure that we get to know each other better. 2, he mentioned that there has been some commonalities and some differences in terms of your TOR. This will be an opportunity for us to harmonize all the TORs so that we see how they interact, how they reinforce each other. At the end of the day, our task, as mentioned earlier, is enshrined in the organizational and technical arrangements for the OIC. I call it the Holy Grail, if you like. And then I'm especially happy that the Minister of Finance is here. Because as the consultant mentioned, there has been a lot of resource mobilization efforts undertaken by the OIC. However, this particular Holy Grail requires host countries to take certain responsibilities. And we saw ourselves in a race against time. We first consulted the Permanent Secretary of Finance to find out the calendar of events in terms of the budget. So I called my colleagues and said, look, we need to plan against this. So this convergence, the dates were set deliberately to make sure we attain, our objective of getting together a consolidated budget and a roadmap that we will submit to the minister for his consideration in the next year's budget. So this is a very, very, very important event, and I would like to please add my voice to the earlier voices to ask everybody to make sure you bring in your expertise. You are all men of accomplished, you have accomplished in your various areas, and we count on you to be able to really come and assist and make sure we pull this one off as a successful national event. Gambia will be the second country in sub-Saharan Africa, apart from Senegal, to host the OIC. And we are not hosting it as Gambians, we are hosting it on behalf of the Africa region. So it behoves on all of us to make sure we give it our best shot to ensure that the Gambia becomes a successful summit. I mean, our summit in 2022 becomes a success. Madam Excellency, the Vice President, as I said, I'm not going to give a statement, but my own slot comprises a section where the project manager will take you through, because the rationale for taking you through our program is that some of you are interacting for the first time. When you leave this convergence, you go, the question will not be what's enshrined in your TOR, what is in that budget. They will ask you, is the OIC holding? What have they done? We have not seen anything. But I must tell you, a lot has been achieved. So please bear with us. We will give you a short presentation on all our activities, where we are, and where we intend to be. That will form part of the statement that I'm making. So I will call on Mr. Ibrahim Akuli, who is our project manager, to guide us through a short presentation.
All right. For accommodation, like all other priority projects, we have the hotel projects. So we have hotels in the Gambia though, but the 5-star standard that is required is actually missing. We're expecting a lot of delegates, more than 1,000. Now, what we did was to do a needs analysis and find out what is required. And at the end, we decided to have a 5-star hotel of 400 rooms, 10 royal suites with 50 presidential suites. The total cost of 100 million was actually estimated, and the Gambia government's responsibility was to identify land location, which is here in Banjul, about 17 hectares. So like all of our projects, we engage our partners, that's the OIC member countries, Saudi, Qatar, and others. Then in Saudi Arabia, we've had other partners in there, being the Public Investment Fund, ISDB, and others. So, but then for over a year or two, we've been going back and forth with them. Being a commercial project, I think that's one of the difficulties we had. So at the secretariat level, we thought it prudent to actually come up with another, innovative way, that is to get into the PPP arrangement. So the PPP concept was conceived. We launched a tender for it, EOIs, RFPs, did the evaluation, negotiations, and everything. And then at the end of the day, we had an investor who was ready and willing to fund a $100 million hotel. And right now we are almost done, just finalizing on the shareholding structure. So hopefully this month we should be able to conclude that and then lay the foundation stone for that project. So the project is estimated 20 months duration. So if we start now, by the end of, this is the view of the proposed hotel. It's where the anti-crime unit is right now. So, Mr. Minister, we are coming to take our place. Yeah, that's another aerial view of the sites. So in addition to the hotel, we have the Saudi fund funded projects. One of them is the new presidential lounge. when the head of states and delegates come, that's their first point of call. So we thought it prudent to have a fitting terminal for the heads of states. You cannot mix the head of states and the other delegates in the same terminal. So we have a plan to demolish what we have there and put up a new structure fitting for 5-star guests. Good. So the project is at a very advanced stage. Luckily for that project, we do not have to go to the usual procurement. That when we use the same contractor and consultant at the terminal building, the consultant has done the designs, prepare the BOQ, and the contractor is actually, in fact, is submitting the documents today to GCAA so that we can negotiate and send for final approval to Saudi Fund. Saudi Fund has allocated $10.5 million for that project and is estimated at 12 months to be completed. So these are just some of the views that we have for the presidential lounge. There are some challenges because at the tail end of the design process, Saudi Fund made a recommendation for the augmentation of the layout. So that one has to go through another process, about a month delay, so that they can incorporate those changes. And usually there is a delay also in terms of the response time from Saudi Fund. And finally, COVID-19. For 50-kilometer urban roads, this is the baby project, I call it, because this is the project that runs through the greater Banjul area. It affects pretty much all of us here who are within the greater Banjul area, apart from me, the Banjul and the governor of Banjul. So the objective of this project is to decongest, because the main highway, being Battle Hardin Highway, will be closed during the summit, and people will have to have options. So the 50-kilometer urban road will give that option. So it's $50 million by the Saudi Fund. So like I said, the procurement is almost done, because we have a consultant recruited back in August who partnered with the Gambian, because we ensure that all of the projects have local content, both consultancy and contractors. So designs were done. It's a 6 months period. The tender process also started, completed, evaluations done, and the final report sent to Saudi Fund. So we kind of patiently wait for the final no objection from Saudi. Then we start the negotiations and sign. It's a 14 months project, but it's going to be divided into 2 lots. So this map here shows the 50-kilometer roads. So all the lines in red are the proposed roads to be constructed. So for 2021, these are some of the planned activities that we actually have. If you look at it, most of them are done. Like I said, the only thing pending is the tender report or the approval from Saudi Fund. And then we start the civil works and mobilization and civil works. A lot of successes. We have a consultant, detailed designs completed, and right-of-way, which is I know if you look at some of the areas identified, you see most of the fences have been marked with X's. So that means that some of those properties are into the road corridor. Yeah, and then also launching of the tender for the civil works. Challenges, that's the demolition and resettlement. We've been working closely with the Ministry of Lands and Local Government. Thank you, Honorable Minister. So, but still now we'll be coming for more support, because we need to implement this resettlement plan. Relocation of services, that's NAWEC, because they have a lot of services along the area which are actually unknown, so we need to do trial pits and locate where they are and then relocate them. COVID-19 is everybody's problem now. So the next project is water. We all have water problems. So one of the projects that we identified was to build the capacity or increase the capacity of NAWEC so that during the summit there won't be any shortage of water, and also the areas within this area will benefit. So the scope includes drilling of 13 new boreholes and 3 observation boreholes. We have the medium voltage to power the boreholes, installation of the SCADA system, all the way down to expansion of water distribution network. So we will provide water to this area and also new areas within the GBA that are actually virgin. So the proposed, all right. So we have the water treatment plant somewhere in Sanyang, and then the boreholes are also within the Kombo South area. That's Tujereng, Sajang, Batakunku. And then from there, you transport the clear water from the treatment plant all the way to the water tanks, because we will build new water tanks in Salaji, Sanyang, and also upgrade the water tank in Bijulo here. So from there, then you have the distribution to the users. That's the background. It's a $22.5 million project, and actually design phase had started, but what happened was the consultant proposed to have the drilling of the borehole started now before the actual construction works. So as a result, the design phase will last a little bit longer because of that phase. So for plant activities for this year, we've completed the inception report, site handing over for the boreholes was done. The preliminary design is also done now, so all you need now is just the information from the boreholes and input it into the design, and then we have the final report. Works tender will start, but it's also delayed because of those activities. Some of the challenges that actually affect the projects: late approvals, acquisition of land for the project implementation, but alhamdulillah, at the end, all of those, the required land has been acquired through the help of the Department of Lands. Right-of-way on the pipeline routes, obstructions, late receipt of payments, and COVID restrictions. For electricity project, the idea is to improve on the transmission and distribution network infrastructure. So by expanding the electrification to disadvantaged peri-urban areas, and at the end to also build capacity of NAWEC and Gambian consultants through joint ventures. So $10 million grant. In fact, both water and electricity are grant projects. So NAWEC is very lucky here. So, and then it's expected to be delivered by August 2022. The consultancy contract for that one has been awarded to DAR and Mahfouz Engineering in 2020. So phase 1 of the consultancy has a duration of 6 months, and phase 2 work supervision 12 months. In fact, the detailed designs are already done, and we're actually preparing the tender documents. As you have seen here, we've had this inception report. Submission of the feasibility study was also submitted, but delayed by a month or so. Design of the tender documents are also done. So it's just the final tender documents pending. Basically the same challenges as the water project. So for the way forward for this, we will intend to engage the local government ministry, or the Ministry of Lands, for the transmission, for the right-of-way for transmission lines, and also find a way to liaise with the Saudi fund to ensure timely payments so that contractors will not be complaining. And since this project actually requires special equipment, we will have to ensure that the contractor does early procurement of this equipment so that there won't be any delays. In addition to the Saudi funds, we have other projects, and the most popular is the Banjul-Serrekunda Highway. It's 22 kilometers, and it's actually funded by 4 co-financiers. In fact, 5, including the Gambia government. So we have Kuwaiti Fund, Badia, Abu Dhabi, and Ofit. These are the co-financiers, and Gambia government also has a contribution. And I'm happy that they have already approved and are willing to participate. Thank you, Mr. Minister. So the recruitment, what happened is we're still on the funding arrangement because COVID has actually delayed this project significantly because the board of directors of these financiers even had problems to meet. So, and if they don't meet, there are no approvals. There are no approvals, you can't start. That's the problem that I think, that's the chat of OIC. So, but then I think we have to also applaud their commitment because usually they don't even allow you to start procurement without the approvals. But they said to us, this project is very important. we will give you approval for advanced procurement. Start the procurement for both consultant, contractor, even without us signing these agreements. That alone is worth commending. So we did that, started the procurement for contractor, and we are almost done. In fact, we've received 2 of the no objections. The consultancy, we've done the technical evaluations. Right now, they are doing the financial opening of the consultancy. And pretty much we are comfortable for now. All we need now is just one more approval, and then we can sign the pending loan agreement and go for ratification. So Gambia government's contribution is for the expropriation, which is about $8 million estimated. And it's already there. So the project is actually estimated at 24 months. So what we did was, since the summit, the date is flexible. So we cannot implement this project in time if it's going to be in 2022. So we said, okay, let's prioritize from the airport junction all the way to Senegambia as phase 1. So that this is where you have the conference center, the hotels, and the like. Then, if there's more time, you can go further. If not, after the summit, you start from Senegambia to Sting Corner. So, like I said, some of the successes we have is our launching of the EPC procurement process. So it's EPC, that means that the contractor will do the designs, do the works, and the consultant will review the design prior to him doing the works. So with that, it's faster because he can do maybe two kilometers, and consultant approves, he starts with that, and whilst he does the other sections. We've also identified the right-of-way, the 40 kilometers corridor, and pretty much from the airport junction to traffic light is 40 meters, and traffic lights to the other side is less than 40. But we've done that bit with the physical planning and lands. Now they are just doing the valuation of the properties, and from there, maybe compensation for those who actually deserve it, and launching of the tender for the supervising engineer. The key challenge we have for me, is the delay in the finalization of the funding. Once that one is finalized, we should be good to go. The rest is not a big deal because it's already within our powers here. For the security sector, so apart from the infrastructure, as the hotels, the roads, and the like, without security, there's no summit, for me. That's the one thing that I've agreed with Mr. C. Without security, there's no summit. So it is prudent that we put a lot of emphasis and seriousness in this aspect, and at the secretariat level, we have actually worked with the security subcommittee, came up with a proposal, approached our partners, that is Saudi and Turkey. Turkey has been very helpful in that aspect. So we have 3 objectives here. One is to ensure that we have the necessary equipment and gadgets for the summit, for the security institutions, provide the required infrastructure, logistics, including vehicles, and enhance the capacity of the security personnel. This has been ongoing for some time now. So after an in-depth needs assessment with the security's requirements, OIC member countries such as Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and Turkey were approached for support. So Turkey has already donated their first consignment of anti-riot gears to the Gambia Police Force, and they've also trained more than 1,000 personnel, security personnel, in different areas of specialties. And I've seen even a correspondence recently where they've also approved the second round of training for this year, so which is expected to come in sometime in the 4th quarter. And we've also identified a place for the command center, which for me is the nav center. So that will help greatly in terms of security communications and surveillance systems. So there are no questions, so I'll just end here. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairperson, and good morning to everybody. I wish to start by standing on existing protocols to recognize the presence of all the distinguished guests and personalities present, and to formally welcome you to the National Convergence of Stakeholders of the Gambia OIC Summit 2022 under the auspices of the Gambia OIC Secretariat, also known as OIC Gambia. I am humbled and feel privileged to be asked to preside over and deliver the keynote speech at this auspicious event on behalf of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Adama Barrow, who doubles as the chairperson of the OIC Gambia Board of Directors. As his co-chair on the board, I can assure you that nothing would have made him happier than to be here himself. But as most of you are already aware, the President is currently attending to the needs of the victims that suffered from last week's windstorm. Nonetheless, he asked me to extend his thoughts and blessings to you all. Greetings from His Excellency President Barrow. Next year, the Gambia will host the 2022 OIC Heads of State and Governments, which is the second largest intergovernmental gathering of world leaders after the United Nations General Assembly. To ensure a successful event and put the country on the world map, the government established and tasked the Gambia OIC Secretariat with three fundamental objectives. One, to mobilize resources needed for a successful event, to coordinate the implementation of infrastructural projects to afford guests an unforgettable experience and better the lives of everyone in this country. Third, to ensure proper event planning, organizing, and management of the summit itself. To that end, I am glad to share that the Secretariat has mobilized nearly $200 million to implement infrastructural projects that will meaningfully transform the lives of everyone in the country. Collectively, these development projects will not only boost commercial activities, but also promise to improve our urban outlook, advance the standard of living, create employment, as well as enhance our regional competitiveness in many ways. The government of President Barrow views the OIC venture as a legacy project that will stand to benefit Gambians of all creeds and color for several decades to come, as well as form the basis to build better in the future. The value proposition of the projects, which is to make the experience of life better for everyone, motivated the President to sit at the helm of the OIC board to ensure high-level coordination, full government support, and efficient and timely delivery. I am happy to know that the implementation of the various project components is well underway and at an advanced stage. I have been assured that the Secretariat and its implementing partners are handling the projects with utmost priority in a diligent manner. I know too that the public is anxious about seeing the physical commencement of some aspects, particularly the road construction. This is understandable due to the daily traffic hassle that most people face. However, getting it right is just as important, if not more important, than getting it done faster. We must get it right. We must get it right. Due diligence must be exhausted in adherence to both national procurement policies and donor financing regulations and requirements. At the same time, though, getting it right does not mean we cannot go faster. In fact, the progress of work in all respects is at an advanced stage. For instance, evaluation of bids in respect to the expansion of the Batil-Harding Highway and the construction of the 50-kilometer urban road network is done and the report sent to the donors for approval. And I am happy to say that approval is given based on board's recommendations. B, contractors have started drilling boreholes as part of the rehabilitation of water and sanitation network project. C, designs of the VVIP, that is the very, very important presidential lounge at the airport, have been finalized. D, the dates for laying the foundation stone for the foundation stones for the 5-star hotel are being discussed, and very soon we will hear about that. We are on track for sending another batch of security officers to Turkey for high-level training. These are among many more achievements accomplished over the years under the strenuous circumstances and overwhelming pressure, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to many disruptions and delays around the world. The Gambia is no exception. Ladies and gentlemen, today's August gathering is another major milestone achievement in the efforts of the Secretariat and the government by extension to host a successful OIC Heads of State Summit in this country. This national convergence marks the turning point in the Secretariat's drive to organize a memorable summit that would reflect our national diversity and common heritage. Over the next 2 days, the National Local Organizing Committee, LOC, the Secretariat plus other OIC Gambia stakeholders, with the end of conference consultant, who is a retired UN planner, will take stock of the mandate of the LOC, consolidate its budget, and design a pragmatic roadmap that would guide the activities of the Secretariat and LOC. You have heard him speak earlier, and we thank you for taking on board this assignment. The outcome of the convergence, especially the consolidated budget and strategic roadmap, will enable the government to live up to its host obligation while ensuring that the Secretariat can track, monitor, and measure progress with clear-cut deliverables and timelines. Additionally, they would enhance reporting by identifying critical paths and priorities. Based on the foregoing, the importance of the workshop cannot be emphasized enough. I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate that the government, under President Barrow's leadership, will continue to prioritize OIC matters and shall accord the consolidated OIC budget with all the support it needs. We are happy to have our colleague, the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, who is here to hear and to deliberate, and as the fiduciary responsibility of the state, we are very pleased to have you, and as a board member of OIC. Ladies and gentlemen, before I concede, I would like to take this opportunity to express sincere thanks and gratitude to the entire membership of the National Organizing Committee, members of which come from diverse backgrounds with great expertise for volunteering their precious time and honoring the call of duty. I would also like to express sincere and unflinching appreciation to the CEO, Mr. Yakuba Jiba, for the leadership and maturity and professionalism and commitment he has committed himself since he became the CEO of this very important body. I want to say thank you. King George VI once said, "The highest of distinctions is service to others," and you have done it. Similarly, as we brainstorm and chart the way forward for the event planning of the summit in the days ahead, I would like to encourage you to redouble your commitment to the cause and beware that the country puts its hope and aspirations in you to make us all proud in the eyes of the whole world. It is a rare privilege to serve one's country at such a high level. The late American civil rights activist Martin Luther King said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? By the time the dust settles, by the time the summit ends, nobody will ask what you have done for others. Instead, the country will be in your debt. While I wish you very fruitful deliberations, be rest assured of my highest consideration at all times in representing His Excellency the President as the chair of the OIC, which I co-chair with him on his behalf, to be with you all along. The Gambia needs this, and we are very proud to host the OIC but it requires all our concerted efforts. It requires all our commitment and sacrifices. It's not money that makes everything. We can move this country if we all work together. There are challenges that they have mentioned here. And the challenges are issues of moving vehicles aside, trying to get people allow us to do certain things is all for the sake of the Gambia. Delays they give, or we are following the democratic process, we are following procedures, but we need the cooperation of the public. The public must understand that this is for the common good, it's for the greater Gambia, and they must cooperate with the OIC team for us to achieve what we want. If we want to make the roads, if we want to widen them, if we want to repair the boreholes, this is a transformation process, and we are all together in it. Let us all work together to make it happen and not to politicize the issue. This is about the Gambia, and the president who is here at the time is His Excellency President Barrow, and we must recognize the effort that he is doing in order to push the Gambia to another level. I thank you all for your attention, and I wish you good luck.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yai Baram.
I get it.
Mbijan aganyani.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la story.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. What's Nsila ID soto.
That's sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara Allah service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong blabe ko.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata another enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi ma ni domorol ni fana beteata. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
baraka. Ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.
Yara nyilla domoro ka diaten.
Boy, jannon CK's restaurant.
Ke sai na ko be ni na dimbal. Nimba domoro kala janno.
Domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kende ma bije. Luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni. Adi manda wala de. Teka we bijele anim fanan ka fa di jang ikono e fa. E ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery. Iko fanan be kalele. Badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendin lon dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international otoda number 1
Amanke ba domo la janda man.
esa domo jang is atariya
Wo mu kubandi.
sa na ko sa futandin
oto sa na ko be mu CK's restaurant.
ndafa na janna mu yat ni manje dorom bijam
Aban.
CK's Restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.